What is up? What is up? What is up, everyone? It's me, Mark Wiggins. Welcome to Off the Bench Magazine. We are in our last of a series of three series of undeferring your financial legacy. It has been a great session. If you've not been involved, go back and watch the videos. You can catch them on YouTube or roll down my Facebook page. You can find it there. You can go to my Twitter page. You can also go, oh yeah, you can get the magazine. Women of Power issue has dropped, and it is amazing. It's the biggest issue I've ever done. It's got 99 pages in it. All digital. You can flip through. We've got some amazing women from around the country who are listed as women of power. We've got fashion designers out of Florida. We've got women who own basketball teams, ABA teams down in Montgomery, Alabama. We have got people all over in this magazine. I'm like so excited. But what I'm most excited about right now is this series that we're doing where we are talking with SMEs. We're talking with the subject matter experts on the things we need to know, things we don't talk about, the things we don't prepare for. We usually are scrambling at the last minute, and then we get done because we didn't do it properly or enough time to make sure we are taking care of our financial legacy as we're supposed to. So to that end, let me coming to the stage. If you know, then you know. Coming to the stage, we got Stacy Tucker from her insurance agency. What's up, Stacy? How are you?
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thanks for having me, Mark.
Coming in is my frat brother. What's up, Big Noop? Yo.
Yo. How's everybody doing?
Man, we be repping the gear. Every time we get on, you got the gear. It's amazing.
I got to, bro. It's your show.
It's my show, doggone it. That's right. We were chatting before we came on, and we were just talking about, working and lifestyles and stuff like that. And Stacy, you're talking about how you were working over a year to kind of grow your agency now to be what it is now. Before we get into our night's discussion, we have a lot of entrepreneurs on the line. Talk to us about that journey that you decided to move and expand. Your off the bench moment when you said, I can't do it no more. And if I'm going to do it anymore, I won't grow. I'm going to let it go. Talk about that right quick.
From the business perspective, it's always a challenge as an entrepreneur to decide whether to throw more money into your business to fuel the flame, because there is a cost to that. Employees are a responsibility, but you also have a cap. Just like in the workplace, the corporate workplace, there's a cap on what you can do alone, right? So you have to bring on team members. You have to bring on people who share your vision and your passion. And of course, they have to have the skill sets. But I would say that probably happened earlier than I was able to actually do anything about it. You know what I mean? We all have those moments, whoa, I can't work till midnight anymore and get back to the office at 7 a.m. So when I was able to do it, happened to be sort of the middle of 2021 is when I finally feel like I got my wings and could really reach out and grab the people that I need to help me grow my agency. And one of them is on the call with us tonight. And so here we are.
Wow, that's crazy. And Tony, talk about your journey. I know you partner up with Stacy here. You're independent, but you're not, but you're working your own thing, but you're not. So how does that work for you? And why does this work for you?
That's a great question, man. And I got to tell you, the way that I kind of stumbled upon it was I was at a point during COVID. I had lost a position in banking where I was a loan officer. And I was actually in a humble position of delivering groceries. And I got the phone call about an opportunity to be my own, run my own business. And that's when I got into the insurance industry. And I was hesitant at first, but I had to say to myself, if you want to be your own boss, if you want to take advantage of what it's like to be your own boss, then this is the opportunity. And thank God for that experience that I got. And I was a one-man band. I mean, I started from scratch. I didn't get, a book of business or anything of that nature. I had to go out, meet people, work, hustle. And yes, I was up all night. And yes, I would take calls whenever to build up my book of business. And so with that experience, I was able to move along and hitch up with Stacy, as she talked about, to give me a better perspective and a better, a more steady and consistent flow that enables me to use my skill set in the manner in which I do. So now I'm very happy with where I'm at right now, because ultimately it's about helping people, which is why we're
Mhm.
on this call.
Mhm. That's fascinating. I love the grind story and the off the bench story that you made a
Right.
move, right? You do something. Everybody, if we know in 2019 and 20, everybody was shifting. I've told my story and trying to move forward. It birthed the magazine, birthed a whole lot of stuff out of that. Necessity is the mother of invention. So you start making
Yes.
things, you make a way, and all of a sudden it becomes the thing.
Mm.
And I just love that as we talk about undeferring things, which is my word of the year, by the way, who don't know, undefer, like you're going to pull something back out that you put away, like, your dreams, your goals. And with my esteemed guest, we're talking about undeferring your financial legacy, which means you thought about it. I'm going to do this. And you put that joint over there. We're going to bring it back to the table and talk about how to really structure it so you can do these things long term. And again, leaving it for those who come after you, right? Talking about wealth changing and generational changing. Side note, when I'm listening to we're talking about it's time for draft, right? For the NFL and
Mm-hmm.
all that kind of stuff. We've got a dude up in Baltimore, and they talk about wealth generational changing money at 200 guaranteed million. It should be generational changing at 10 million. It should be generation changing at 5 million. It should be generational changing like we're talking about at a million. It should be changing. So they put this big number on it. It's almost seemed like it's not obtainable to change the trajectory of your family unless you're making $240 million. That's generational. And sometimes what they do to our athletes, make them like, well, they're making all this money, they're going to change it. Well, if they were smart and had great teams with us, which a lot of them do, I'm not saying that they don't,
Mm-hmm.
they're already making generational changes, buying businesses, running multiple things. They don't want to talk about those things. They don't want to show the positive work that Black athletes and athletes are doing outside of the sport because they know the window's about yay big, right? So this ties into our conversation of what we're doing. So that enough being said, let me get off my soapbox. We are in our 300 level series tonight, life insurance as a legacy tool. So Stacy, start us off tonight, making sure how are we making this thing our legacy tool.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mark. So for those of you who haven't tuned in the previous two sessions, we're talking about how life insurance can help very quickly help you leave a legacy. So I like to call the phases that we've had in the series 100, 200, and 300: planting, cultivating, and sowing.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to do in the very early years, you've got to plant so that you have some assets and resources to leave. Mark mentions athletes. So sometimes you probably saw in the news, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar just sold a lot of his athletic memorabilia to the tune of $2.8 million. So his legacy becomes those things that he acquired and used and did, and his intellectual property. It could be actual property. Those are things that we can leave. Life insurance, however, for those of us who don't have such athletic prowess and all these things to leave behind, we can obtain life insurance in any form, term, whole, and other types that will allow us to leave money, whether it's $1 million, 5 million, 10 million, to a person, to an organization. You could leave it to your sororities, your fraternities, your Kappas and AKAs and Deltas. You can leave money to religious organizations and all sorts of things. And so that's how you leave a legacy. That's how people remember your name. It's on the side of a building. It's in the name of an auditorium or gymnasium or a stadium, because people leave money via life insurance.
That's it. So Tony, talk about a little bit more. What are some of the ways in some of your clients that you are dealing with that they're structuring to leave these legacies for different things?
Well, it depends on the client. Now, I talk to some clients that, and this is kind of a thing of the almost unheard of these days, is when people talk about pensions. Like, how many jobs now are offering pensions? And a lot of companies with today's economy and stuff, they're doing away with a lot of those programs. So the best way is to discuss how to maximize that pension, because it's virtually unheard of. In fact, I don't know, unless you've been on your job for the same job for 30, 40 years, which how many of us know people like that?
Right.
Realistically, that have been on their job in one company that long, that length of time. They may have grandfathered in the pension plan. And so based on the pension that they have, we talk about structures and ways and tools and means to maximize your pension. And that would be to diversify in life insurance policies. Because it's not that hard, it's not that difficult, but it does require the education to do so.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting point. You're talking about the diversification of insurance product, I guess is the right, if I'm saying that correctly.
Mm-hmm.
We don't normally go beyond one or two: workers' comp, key man, life, death. But what other types of plans and things out there that we can put into our toolbox? Tell our viewers more about what things we need to be exposed to.
So like I said, if you're at the point when let's say you're getting into your late 50s, many people want to retire at 55, and depends on your type of career. As Tony was saying, so you can retire at 45 if you've got 20 or 30 years in a particular company. But some things will go away that you can't have as protection policies once you get into retirement ages. So things like disability, that policy is designed to pay you in case you can't work. But if you're retired, what are we replacing? So those go away. There are also many people, if they started thinking about this early enough, if you've got a GGJ, a good government job, you may have some long-term care. Those are things that need to be in your toolbox. So that will cover needs where you no longer can perform the activities of daily living, meaning you may need like home care or in-home nursing care, and you can't care for those things yourself. Now, I will say those things, like Tony said, some of those things are hardly available anymore or so expensive, people often don't obtain them. So what often happens in those later years, they start pulling from their savings, from their current income through either Social Security or the pension Tony was talking about. And now that money that they had hoped to leave to their children and grandchildren is being used to care for those later years healthcare needs, which can be very pricey once you get into your later years.
That's interesting. So now the different plans you mentioned, disability and long-term, like what is the difference between the two? You're talking about disability and long-term. Go a little bit further into that for me.
Well, long-term care for those who want to be prepared for the high cost of living as you age. Okay, that's long-term. That's your hospice, that's your nursing home, that's those facilities and things like that. But I kind of want to jump back for a second to kind of piggyback on something that Stacy mentioned, because I told you I come from a personal perspective. So some of the tools, supplemental healthcare, supplemental policies, right? Bro, I told you that I am a cancer survivor, right? 4 years, going on 5 years, God willing, this October, right? So yes, I had insurance with my company at the time, but that's a major surgery. I had an organ removed. So the balance of what that procedure cost me after my insurance, I wish I had been talked to about supplemental insurance, because I just recently paid that bill off, bro. And it's been over 4 years.
So what Tony's, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Stacey.
So what Tony's talking about, just like everybody has major medical at work, typically, right? You get it through your job.
Yeah.
There are still costs that aren't covered when you have those things. And of course, as you age, if we're getting close to or in retirement years, there's co-pays, there's excess costs and things like that. So what he's talking about, things like, I'm trying not to say brand names, but there's things like what you're familiar with, like AFLAC, things that cover like critical illness, hospital stays, your out-of-pocket costs, things that don't pay the doctors or the medical facility. They pay you money when it's triggered by a certain event, like an emergency room visit or a stay in a hospital or an ICU stay. There's money that comes back to you that helps you navigate some of the costs that occur when you're out of pocket. And that includes even things like emergencies, like the other insurances we do, like accidents, home accidents, car accidents, that could trigger a huge expense, medical expense. So if you've got all the right plans in place, it'll help you avoid the loss of wealth because you had to use all your savings and retirement money that you were going to leave to your kids and grandkids. Now you've spent it all at the nursing home or the hospital facility.
And God forbid if you withdraw anything out of your 401 before you 59 and a half.
Right. They definitely tapping that. So how are you having this conversation started with your clients, and how are you getting to prepare for it? I'm already paying you for business policy and this and that. Now you add another policy. At some point, does the premiums get so heavy? Should I go ahead and get the black label, Rolls Royce up in this camp and pay that? It seems like it's going to be a lot of money. Is that a misconception?
It is. I'm glad you brought that up. So it's pennies on the dollar for most of this care, if you think about it, right? In some cases, you'll never be able to match what an insurance company might pay out for you if there is a need for one of these things. So there's a cost for all assets, isn't it? Right? If you own a $500,000 or $700,000 house, there's a monthly payment for it, right? There's insurance and interest and taxes and insurance. So it's the same thing. You're talking about assets, whether it's the life insurance asset of $1 million or $2 or $3 or $5 or 10, or your income. Let's be honest, Mark. If a person makes $200,000 a year, in 5 years they've made a few million, right? That's their largest asset, and that's what you're protecting. There's no dollar amount that's too high to protect that.
That's a great point. I guess you think your people to start thinking those concepts, and I think that's probably why we have this conversation, is that a lot of people do not think about those concepts of where we put our money and what's important, right? We if you want it, we'll get it. If you want to have it, you'll have it. And this is like, oh, I got that, well, I can't get that. If I get this, I probably can't get that. But you can have both if you're making better decisions, right? You're looking at the long range of it. Go ahead.
You're going to get it either way, right? Whether it's going to come out of your pocket or it's going to come from the insurance company's pocket. If a person retires at 63 to 65, which is kind of the average now, they're going to have $208,000 in healthcare costs during the rest of their life. Mm-hmm. So the money's got to come from somewhere. So would you rather pay the premiums, the small percentage of premium, or the actual cost of care for those things?
Oh, wow. That's definitely a good way to put that. That's awesome. So how are you now positioning, and do you know, does your agency or do more work in community talking about these long range planning? What steps are you taking now so people can get more information?
I'm gonna let Stacy handle that one because first of all, we're starting off with Off the Bench Magazine with this podcast, right? And this was kind of a vision for ours for this new year, our marketing strategy, and basically just wanting to connect with the community and talk with people on a ground level. Not from a perspective of I need you to buy this or I'm selling you this. No, we want to have, as we talked about, uncomfortable conversations, right? About these life on life situations that occur. You know what I mean? I see we have a question coming through.
Many don't have it through their jobs, and we are one of the few developed countries that have to consider medical debt. Yeah. Thank you, Rebecca, for that. That's a great point. We are one of the few countries because you've got universal care or whatever, and some people think it's nice to take care of everybody, but some people don't. So, but this is where we are. So with these things, we have to kind of look at to make sure we're prepared for that. Medical debt is real. Like you say, you're paying off a bill. I'm still paying off something for my son. He, had a concussion, come out of college. It's been a couple years. I had to pay that all. That debt is like just another credit card payment. I'm like, I need to get rid of that thing.
Absolutely. And to further answer your question, Mark, so within our existing clients, we obviously have annual reviews, or every couple of years, depending on the need, because life changes. And that's where also the problem, I won't say the problem, a challenge in our community, we set it and forget it. Oh, I got term. I bought that 20 years ago. But 20 years from now, you're 40, and then you're 60, and then you have children, and then you have grandchildren, and then you've paid off the house. You bought a house in Miami. So there's things that trigger a conversation with the right professionals, whether insurance, the attorney, your CPA. These should be ongoing, your financial advisor. We in the Black and Brown communities tend to think, oh, I don't have anything to talk about with a financial advisor. You actually need it more than the guy with 30 million because they already know how to get it and how to preserve it. So that's how we help people. And then like Tony said, at platforms like this, Off the Bench, social media, and I'm doing some community outreach. I was at a lunch and learn today, so I'm actually looking for opportunities to talk and educate people because that's my passion. And if I may, I'd like to take this moment to share a personal story so people really understand the difference with long-term care and then a life insurance policy with living benefits, which I didn't talk about as part of the thing in our tool, that will allow you to access your policy face amount while you're living. So long-term care pays when you lose activities of daily living. There's 6 of them. I'll name a few: bathing, toileting, dressing, transferring, incontinence, things like that. So once 2 of those things are in place, long-term care is activated. So if you have a policy, it'll pay for the nurse to come to your home or in-home care, things like that. The truth is, you may not ever activate that need. So now is where I'll share the personal story. Many of you who are listening know that last year, sadly, I lost my mom, Miss Tina, and she was alive and kicking and breathing well on the day she passed away. So like literally in the morning we were eating pizza together, in the afternoon she was no longer with us. And so she would have never used it in long-term care. And it's an expensive coverage. You probably have it, people who have government jobs have it paid for, but it can be quite pricey and it'll go up year after year after year, the premiums. So the way life insurance helps manage that is by you can accelerate the death benefit, the face amount. If you're diagnosed with a terminal illness, you can access the face amount of the policy. Obviously, it comes from your legacy. It comes from, your beneficiaries won't get the full face amount. But a policy with a flexible care rider will allow you, if you have that same activities of daily living activated, you can use the face amount in the policy. And this is probably level 500, 600, but that only happens with permanent policies, the whole life, the universal. So you can't get those features in term. You can get it on the terminal illness one, but that's how it works. And so this conversation, like you said, there's so many phases of it that we need to know and understand. Most of us haven't even hit the elementary school level or the kindergarten level because we just are afraid to have those conversations around the dinner table and around, the lunch table. And I'm grateful for this platform to be able to share this information.
Yeah, to even begin the conversation, for my example would be when I engage a conversation with a client, I start with something really, really basic, Mark. Like, okay, so I see you got that 7 Series outside. That's a really nice car. I'm assuming that you're well protected on that, right? And then they'll say, well, why don't you give me a quote on something? And when I look at their previous insurance, you're driving a 7 Series BMW, and I'm looking at your insurance, and you have state minimum liability coverages on your $65,000, $75,000 car. Now, and it starts right there, and then I can go into, this is your asset. It's a depreciating asset, but it's your asset that you paid an awful lot of money for. But you have this much coverage on it should something, God forbid, happen to your asset. You're not, let's balance the scales here, bro. You're not really covering yourself. So it starts off in that way, and then it can branch off into other real life scenarios. So you bought your wife that $10,000 Birkin bag. Well, there's an insurance policy that you could get on that too, in case that bag comes up missing somewhere. So you won't lose out. So it branches off into other different areas, but the conversation is organic and it's real. It's real life scenarios, real life situations that we go through each and every day, all of us.
Yes, to Tony's point, we take a holistic approach. Every family and every situation and every individual is different, right? So because especially if they're already our client, we have a way to look at their total asset picture. Sure. And have a good holistic conversation with them, just like a financial advisor would be. We are your risk advisors. We're going to help you determine what your need is. Some people say, what's the standard amount? What amount should I have? There is no standard amount because you're not a standard person. Your needs may be very different. So we do have holistic conversations with people. We're not just having them make a decision rashly without help guiding them through this process of figuring out what their risk is, what their asset loss would be in the event of losing the income of a primary breadwinner.
Yeah, I think that's really important too. I like what you said. changing the mindset of perspective of what we value. I'm not saying that they're not valuable to have, and you worked hard to get Berkey, got the 7 Series, I got all that. But if you're going to go that far, go ahead and stretch it on out and cover the rest of the stuff, because that's what the real wealthy do. They protect everything, and they have it all situated where they can go. I mean, we learn along the way about doing different things, but the mindset we have about taking care of our stuff is really kind of distorted and it's kind of whack. And really conversations here, hopefully it will just motivate people to say, you know what, let me see what else I should be doing. And that's the start of knowledge, right? Let's get it together, and you may be able to find yourself in a better position. I told you, like when I got the life insurance policy for her birthday, that was huge for me. Had I not had, I was having a conversation much like this on a platform with an old OGQ, and he was dropping some heat, and I was like, I need to know more. And I think when we get to that point, we can say and just be transparent. Side note to those listening, you're not going to embarrass the professional by saying, I don't know.
Right.
You're really giving the chance for the professional to be professional and explain to you what you need to know. Stop thinking, that part. So when you open yourself up to being like, I need to learn this, show me something, I got questions, you can really change the trajectory. And again, undefer this legacy we're talking about. So hopefully these conversations will spur more people to go find their professional, hopefully find you. You can tell us how to find you later, and have these conversations to get on this path of protecting legacy and using insurance as a tool. But that's what we're here for. So, let's see. What's up, Leonard? Little Leonard. Oh, that's my people's out there. What's up, Little Leonard? Rebecca came in on LinkedIn, and we got some people in the room. We got Regina K. I think she's been here the whole time. Ms. Al, Sydney, Joanne Maxwell. Robbie's been here the whole time.
We got Jamaica in the house. Joanne's in Jamaica. Joan,
hey, what's going on down there? Hey, you do that here, there, And then John Y. Appreciate y'all. If you have any questions, go ahead and bust them in the chat, and we can get them answered for you. Make your comments. I appreciate everybody chiming in on this. So as we wrapping down, this is our last of the 300 series. I want to thank my guests, my SMEs, for coming on and kicking this off for me this year. This is amazing. I want to do it again on some other topic, or bring you back and have another discussion on levels 4, 5, and up. We'll get a little deeper. I know there's levels which you can't get into. It's not information. By the way, we're not giving advice tonight.
Right. Thank you.
We're just talking. We have my barbershop, and we're having a conversation. So as we wrap this down, Stacy, what you got to say to folks? Matter of fact, I'm going to save you for last. Well, Tony, what you got to say to people as we're walking down with words of encouragement? What do you want to say?
First of all, I want to say thank you, bro, for once again giving us the opportunity to get out and express our voice and share our knowledge and experience with the people in the social media universe and stuff, And this International Women's Day, I want to give props to this woman that's on the screen for us for all that she has done in the community and continues to do, and how she's been a source of knowledge and of great encouragement to me, not only professionally but personally. And finally, I just like to say to those out there, changing your mindset, something along those lines, that understand that being cheap does not mean you're covered.
Run that again.
Being cheap does not mean you're covered. And then, if you want to know more about that, what that means, what I'm talking about, please, leave a message in the chat. We'll be happy to reach out to you or anyone to answer any questions that you might have. And on that, God, I want to say thank you once again. God bless. Peace on the yo.
Rebecca's on fire over here. So important for the increase in autoimmune disease resulting from environmental factors that increase for under-resourced communities. So translate that for me. I think I know what she's saying, Stacy. What is she really saying about?
I think what she's saying is that because of diseases and things that are communities that don't have the right resources to manage them, they end up being ineligible to protect themselves properly through even health insurance. Until recently, if you had pre-existing conditions, you couldn't even get some major medical insurance. It's still true with life insurance in some cases and some other types of supplemental health policies. Mm-hmm.
Oh, thanks for that. Let's see. Little Linda has something to say over here. Paying individuals have questions to get served proper care. So that's like Little Linda saying, just go ahead and pay the people you need to pay to get the information you need to get the proper care. That's definitely good. Thank you, Little Linda, for chiming in on that. All right, big brother, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story and your passion with everybody. And we will see you down the road.
Absolutely.
Yo. All right, Ms. Tucker, go ahead. What you got for us as we wrap down on Women's Day?
Yes. To all the amazing women out there who have seen posting and sharing today, who are doing big, great things, firing up the world and changing it for the better for not just women, but for everybody. But it starts with us, right? So I echo Tony's sentiments and thanking you for this platform and for reaching communities like ours with powerful information that usually is not withheld necessarily from us, but we fail to access the information that may be in front of us. So for those of you who are wondering why I need to do this, how I can truly leave a legacy, feel free to reach out to us, and let this be the first day of the rest of your life and the first day of undeferring your legacy.
No, I like where you put that in there. That was hot. Thank you, Stacy. You're amazing. Happy Women's Day again. When I met you, I just like, yo, she's got some hit with her, some heat, and I was not wrong.
Thank you so much.
Presentation, and I just been watching you move and how you're moving in the community, growing your business, taking care of people, and energy, and you move with grace. Especially during the time with your mother and stuff like that. I know we had worked on something before and had to be put on pause, but you still keep it moving. So, and happy anniversary to you.
Oh, thank you.
7 years, and I was really telling that to your husband for him hanging off.
He's right there.
Hang in there, bro. All right. All right, everybody. Listen, thank you so much for coming and joining us for this 3-part series on undeferring your financial legacy. It's something that was brought to me to do, and I love it. I love this platform. I love the conversation with our SMEs, subject matter experts on topics and things that we normally don't want to talk about or we need to talk about more. So if you're out here watching, listening, reading, and you believe you is me, hit me up. As I told everybody, I was in a networking meeting up in Baltimore with Catherine Trotter and the Speak Life folks. Definitely follow her. She's a powerhouse. Just getting around people and sharing information and networking, that there were so many people in the room. I was gleaning information left and right, and then passing information about using platforms such as this and the magazine and podcasts to get your message out there. And if you're out here trying to do those things, you need some help, hit me up. This is what I do. So we appreciate you chiming in. Make sure you subscribe to the magazine, offthebenchmagazine.com. These, if you missed any of the series, now that we're done, I will put them into podcast form and put on our podcast on Off the Bench with Mark Wiggins, so you can listen to it as many times as you need to. And of course, you can always catch it on YouTube and on Facebook and on whatever else. I'm on Twitter. So just log in with that. So again, International Women's Day. Definitely go read the magazine. I think I need to repost a couple of those people out there right now, so y'all can read about some amazing women around. Shouts out to everybody. And with that, I will leave you with this. As always, if you can reach your dreams with a step ladder, then they're probably too low. I'm out.